Rafael Nadal abruptly spoke out and didn't hold back when rumors started to circulate from Roger Federer's side that Alex Eala threatened the carefully crafted legacy of his chosen successor by overshadowing Federer's own protégé. The manner the King of Clay came forward was unexpected. However, Nadal did what he usually does. When it counted most, he was there. They don't want you to know this tale. Long before the athletes themselves realized what it meant, there was a rivalry. Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer divided the tennis world in half for more than 20 years. The sport itself was changed by the constant collision of two ideas, two personalities, and two eras on the same court. The epitome of beauty, grace, and poetic tennis play was Federer, the Swiss master, and Nadal, the Moorcorn Spaniard who transformed hardship into art and made it seem like power. They had 40 encounters. The head-to-head 24-16 was led by Nadal. However, the whole picture between these two guys was never shown by the data. They have more in common than just rivalry. Only the greatest can comprehend the mutual respect that existed between them. And the tennis community prepared for the inevitable question that accompanies the departure of icons when both players retired: Federer in 2022 and Nadal in 2024. Who is the next? Federer discovered his solution in João Fana, the 18-year-old Brazilian sensation who competed for Running, a sportswear company that Federer co-owns. Federer didn't just sponsor Fana. He believed in him, promoted him, and made him the face of a future he was quietly creating from the sidelines. Fana had won hearts with his talent, become the US Open Junior Champion in 2023, and made waves at the Australian Open 2025, making it to the second round after defeating Andrei Rublev. Nadal's response was different and had been developed over a much longer period of time. Since the age of 13, Alexandria Eala has been undergoing instruction at the Rafael Nadal Academy. When she arrived in Mallorca as a youngster, the left-handed Filipina from Quezon City had an inexplicable passion that matched her aptitude. Nadal saw her development. He congratulated her on her accomplishments in the manner that only a true mentor would. He monitored her ranking ascents. Two chosen ones, two legends, and a civilization ready to discover that these parallel tales couldn't remain parallel indefinitely. However, no one was ready for this. What happens if one of the selected ones grows so quickly that the other begins to seem like an afterthought? Because that's precisely what started to occur in 2025, and things swiftly became very complex when the silent strain at last found a voice. You must first comprehend how remarkable Alex Eala's ascent was in order to comprehend why this dispute erupted the way it did. This wasn't a slow ascent up the ranks. It was an explosion. In the same season, she became the first Filipina to win a WTA Singles Championship, rank in the top 100 worldwide, and go to the WTA 1000 semifinals. She achieved a career-high rating of number 50 in the world at the end of 2025. However, the figures don't accurately reflect what took place. The crowds are not shown by the numbers. AA defeated Titans to go to the semifinals of the Miami Open in March 2025. She drove to the Miami and displeased Madison Keys, and EGT lost to Jessica Pegula in the Open semifinals. She defeated the winner of the Australian Open. She defeated the previous world champion as a qualification. She did it, and the whole Filipino community in Miami, as well as those watching from computers and phones throughout a 7,000-island archipelago, went insane. The US Open followed. Pure drama characterized the third set. Despite falling behind by 15, Eala persisted. She made a valiant recovery, battling to 45. Then the debate started. It was unclear if her racket had crossed the tape when she flicked a ball toward the net. Kader Nooney, the chair umpire, went over the video. He decided in Eala's favor. Clara Tulson, her opponent, exploded. The audience exploded. Amid the confusion, a 20-year-old Filipino girl won her maiden Grand Slam main draw match, fell on the court in shock, and caused the whole world to watch. Regarding Eala's matches, a tennis referee from Dubai who had seen Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, and Agassi all grace that court said this was a very different experience. Sales of tickets for the 2026 Dubai Tennis Championships increased 48% year-over-year, mostly due to Eala's attendance. In an interview with the Nothing Major podcast, former professional Steve Johnson was asked whether Eala was the main attraction in women's tennis. He responded right away. During all of this, where was Fana? Working, grinding, and carrying out all the proper actions. However, the spotlight, that unnaturally bright and loud spotlight, followed you everywhere. And that disparity was starting to cause discussions that ought to have remained confidential in the tennis world's hallways. Now, listen carefully, because here is when the narrative takes a different turn. The Swiss great sat down for a lengthy interview in late 2025 during a promotional event focused on Federer's impending entrance into the Hall of Fame in 2026. Up until a journalist brought up the next generation of stars, the discourse was friendly and sentimental. The internet didn't wait for background information. The internet never does. The term nationalism rather than tennis merit was clipped, shared, quoted, and responded to about 10 million times across platforms in a matter of hours. Filipino tennis fans, who were already the most devoted and well-organized group on the world, rallied right away. Comment sections turned to become battlefields. Once used with almost universal respect, Federer's name was suddenly popular for all the wrong reasons. And it was the same question that kept coming up everywhere. Will someone from the tennis community speak up? Will someone stand up for her? For the first time since his retirement, Rafael Nadal took up a racket on November 19, 2025, precisely 1 year after his last professional match in the Davis Cup Finals. Alexandra Eala, the current WTA world number 50, was his first practice partner when he returned to the court at the Rafa Nadal Academy. It wasn't a coincidence. Nadal is not a guy who makes mistakes. 1 year later, it felt great to be back on a tennis court, he said as the caption for the social media photo he shared of the practice. Practicing with you, Alex Ayala, was fantastic. I'll be more resilient the next time. In response, Ayala said, back like you never left. Simple words, but they made a big impression given all that was going on surrounding her name at the time. Because that day, Nadal and Ayala did more than simply smack tennis balls. In a society where strong men tended to remain neutral in order to preserve their own legacies, he stood openly, clearly, and obviously alongside her. Nadal picked a side. The 20-year-old Filipino girl on his side had trained at his school since she was a little kid and had brought all of the lessons he had taught her about fighting spirit to courts all around the globe. Then, when questioned explicitly about Federer's remarks about young players and media imbalance in a follow-up interview, Nadal used the same deliberate and precise word choices that he does while selecting his strokes. According to him, any athlete who attracts new fans should be honored rather than viewed with suspicion. The supporters' fervor does not detract from tennis. Magnitude should not be mistaken for lack of value. My friendship with Roger is excellent. Nadal recognized politely keeping the door open for friendship when we spoke on a daily basis. However, the message was clear on this issue. It was not something Nadal was going to overlook. Not when it concerned a person he had openly supported, believed in, and mentored since before anybody knew her name. When Rafael Nadal, a guy who has never sought controversy for its own purpose, openly plants his flag, you know something genuine is at risk. Thus, the tennis world felt the weight of that. However, this is the point at which we must pause and pose the more difficult question. Was Federer completely mistaken? Fanta is unique. He is technically talented, athletic, and cognitively mature for his age, making him a real potential star. Furthermore, it is undeniably true that Yala's cultural phenomena has led to a degree of media attention that sometimes eclipses objective performance indicators. Following Miami, a series of early departures prompted hate speech from both new and casual supporters. The conversation around Eala often veers between unwarranted adoration and exaggerated criticism, neither of which is beneficial to the athlete or the sport. I didn't mince words when she lost to Coco Gauff in Dubai 60-2. To be honest, she acknowledged that she still lagged behind the best women's tennis players. It is uncommon and exceptional for someone so young to exhibit that kind of honesty. She doesn't need defense against reality. She has shown that she can deal with it head-on. However, there is an important distinction between rejection and constructive critique, between seeing the holes and deleting the accomplishments. Eala herself responded to the situation with her usual lucidity. I constantly try to express gratitude. From my background, I have seen extreme poverty. I have seen severe hardship. Even if I haven't experienced such hardship personally, I can still be grateful for what I have and think about what she has really accomplished. When all the noise was removed, she started 2025 at number 138. Take a minute to remove yourself from the drama. Take a break from the Twitter fights, the headlines, and the quotations that have been snipped. Because the true significance of this narrative lies in something much greater than a dispute between two retiring legends. Tennis is evolving. Once controlled by a limited group of American and European celebrities and watched by a very tiny worldwide audience, the sport is now becoming more accessible. Fresh faces, new admirers, and new markets. Additionally, the new admirers are not passive. They are organized, vocal, sentimental, and passionately involved. Ye's matches created a different mood than anything he had ever seen. According to a seasoned Dubai referee who had spent decades seeing the world's best players, not necessarily louder, but distinct in nature, more pressing, and more vibrant. Ja got it just right. Some enormous markets have unrealized potential. All they need is for players to show up and establish themselves. And Alex has done just that. Just to see what it's like on the court, you should watch her matches. This is the tension that now exists at the core of professional tennis. The legacy institutions, the old guard, and the meticulously crafted hierarchies of who receives funding and attention. They are running against a force they weren't really prepared for. And that power has a name, a backhand that has defeated 3 Grand Slam winners in a single tournament run and a rating of number 31 in the world. Nadal's supportivia goes beyond a simple amicable exchange between a teacher and pupil. It makes a statement about the sort of sport tennis aspires to be. It is a claim that the gatekeepers of the game are unable to make a decision because the new celebrity is too adored or the new crowd is too boisterous. You can't ask everyone to observe and then be upset when everyone arrives. I would like to thank Alex for bringing a new demographic to the sport. Coco Gauff remarked on the court after his victory against Eala in Dubai. I am very grateful for it. It's fantastic in my opinion. Gauff acknowledged the gift AA was providing the game even after defeating her. She was described as the ideal role model by Jessica Pegula. The way she's been able to fill stadiums and the way her country supports her is something special. Pegula said she manages things with such poise and maturity. For the first time in a year, Rafael Nadal returned to a tennis court, picked up a racket, and gave it to Alexa. Nadal famously said he never considered records. Just the next point. Nor to Fana, nor to anybody else, but to the 20-year-old Filipino who had brought his school's name to the globe and given it a new meaning. That sums it up well. This isn't exactly a blame narrative. It's not really about FA versus Eala or Federer versus Nadal. It concerns a sport that is at a turning point and must choose between embracing what it is becoming and resisting it out of nostalgia for what it used to be. Alex Eala did not create her fan following. One incredible triumph at a time, she earned it. And it only serves to demonstrate one thing, that 2 of the best players in history are now openly supporting opposing viewpoints to hers. She is already too important to overlook. We now leave you with this question, and we would appreciate your response in the comment section. Is Alex Eala now the most significant tennis player? Not the greatest, but the most crucial, since they are 2 very different things and the distinction between them may determine how the sport develops in the future. You already know what to do if you've read this far. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and leave your comments below. Does Nadal have the right to stand up for Eala? Did Federer go too far? Let the discussion